प्रतिष्ठिता मनो मे वाचि प्रतिष्ठितम् आविराविर्मयेधि वेदस्य मआणीस्थ श्रुतं मे मा प्रहासि अनेनाधीतेनाहोरात्रान् सन्दधामि ऋतं वदिष्यामि सत्यं वदिष्यामि तन्मामवतु तद्वक्तारमवतु अवतु माम् अवतु वक्तारमवतु वक्तारम् ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः Om. May my speech be firmly established in my mind. May the mind too be firmly established in my speech. O self-effulgent Lord, be revealed in my consciousness. May the truths of the scriptures come in my life. May I never forget what I learned from them. Let me live my life day and night according to their teachings. I shall speak what is right. I shall speak the truth. May that protect me. May that protect the teacher. Om, peace, peace, peace. Let us feel our divinity within as a steadily burning candle flame. Let us feel our whole personality is illumined by that. In fact, I see that I am this light. All physicality is dissolved in this transcendent and transcendentally immanent divine existence. All the universe, all names and forms I see are dissolved in this ocean of luminosity, infinite. Ever perfect, ever blissful. In this I am perfection itself. I have no desires, for I am all. There is no birth, no death. For I am all. There is no time, no space. This is peace itself. Om. Peace. 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 So, dear friends, let us begin today's discussion of this very special biography of Sri Ramakrishna. This is a special biography because it not only gives the events, but the attitude or the intentions through which Sri Ramakrishna participated in those events. So, let us begin with our regular opening chant. Tava kathamritam tapta jivanam kavibhiriditam kalmashvapaham Shravanamangalam Shrimadattatam Bhuvi grinanti te Bhurida janaha. We were studying last time in this chapter of Sri Ramakrishna how he is the Guru, the teacher. This whole particular part of the biography is called Guru Bhava, Sri Ramakrishna as the teacher. And teaching here is of a different type. The teaching is through just the presence or the example or just again another way to put it is that entering into our heart, identifying with us and thus motivating us. So this is Sri Ramakrishna, the teachership itself, that God's teachership. So this divine teachership is there in Sri Ramakrishna right from the childhood. And we saw a few examples here that how even as a child that was present in him, because as he himself had mentioned that nothing had been done in his life except to teach others. That is how God assumes human form, so that we will be able to learn. It is our human compulsion that we can learn from other human beings. So God also has to assume a human form so that we will learn. Otherwise we will not learn. So therefore God comes to our plane, although all pervading, although everywhere, although beyond all birth and death, yet for our sake, so to say, assumes a human body, seems to be born, as Shankaracharya explains in his Bhagavad Gita commentary right in the beginning, that jata iva, as if born. It is anuglokanugraha kurvan iva, as if is showering grace on people. That is how we see these divine incarnations are, like Jesus Christ or Buddha, where this peculiar fact is observed that they are living without any purpose like what we have. We have, as soon as we are born, we want to achieve things, it becomes more and more prominent. We are told by our, teachers or our parents and others around when we are growing up that you must have ambitions in life. You ought to have ambitions in life. So when we have spiritual discussions here, many times this question gets asked, Swami, if only God realization is the goal and for that we have to give up everything else, what about the ambitions? We have to have aspirations, great aspirations, to achieve something in life. Like I want to become a very well-known scientist, or I want to become a very prominent social or political figure. I want to achieve something. Okay, that is certainly one feels like that, but in these expressions of divine as human, there is nothing particular that they want to achieve. They are ever fulfilled. Nothing more needs to be achieved. That is a very important, very special feature in all such divine incarnations, and therefore the purpose with which they perform the actions becomes difficult for human beings to understand. Why did he do like this? Sometimes people even class them as insane. Although, if examined closely, it is found that they are in fact more sane than most of us in many matters, even the worldly matters. But yet they do not seem to have any purpose of their own except maybe to bring this wisdom to the humanity. Nothing in their life, right from childhood, was ever done without this purpose, to bring this message of our own divinity, that each of us is in fact divine. Each, it is, we have to realize this fact that each of us is divine. This human body, all these human limitations, they are not real. They come and go. They limit us. In Sanskrit, in Vedanta, the word used is upadhi, and that they are limiting features that we just take on. And like where you take on a shirt, clothings and such thing, they are not you. Just because you have put on a particular color of garment, you are not that. Similarly, you are not even the body. to bring this message to us. They assume human form, and through that form they show us that divinity, so that looking at them through comparison, that is how we learn. That okay, this person did like this, I also did like this. Like I was standing, went to a place to get that driving license renewed. Now I get into that building, looked around and saw that people are lining up somewhere. So why? What is that? Renewal of license. Okay. So I also then like that uh, stood behind in that line. Okay, I also want to do the same thing. So when we want to see that I want to be happy in life, great. So who is happy here? How can I become happy? I see this incarnation of God, ever happy, happiness incarnate. So I also try to follow what that person had done. So that, and that is the teaching. It is in teaching, the words are secondary. I was having a discussion about it this afternoon with a gentleman, that the essence of teaching doesn't lie in giving long discourses as such. It is just being and acting in a different way that provides the right message, and that message teaches. The words are secondary, as that great statement of Saint Francis of Assisi. He says, preach all the time, use words only when necessary. So it is, the words are secondary. So Sri Ramakrishna did everything with this purpose, to bring the divinity available, our own divinity available to us, so that we will become happy. There is no other way of becoming happy in this world. Just this is the only way. And so to experience that, Sri Ramakrishna showed what is to be done. And he comes to our level. Last time when we stopped, we were discussing why did Sri Ramakrishna marry. People marry, and then there is a common reason. Almost everybody enters into a wedlock or a similar something that has become more common these days, that living together, not exactly getting married, but just continuing living together, and many variants of that. They are all included in this discussion of marriage, although it is the traditional marriage where a person decides to join another with vows that yes, this is how we will proceed together in life, to make each other happy, to cooperate with each other, and so forth. So this is a commonly done thing. But why did Sri Ramakrishna get into this? He could have just renounced everything and become a monk. He didn't have any desire for physical enjoyment as such, and no bodily contact was necessary to bring joy to him. He was full of joy. he had absolutely no desire to have a family, then why did he marry? And various reasons that Swami Saradananda gave, and he refuted also. People say, just to take a quick overview of what we studied, people would say that he married because of the pressure of the family, the parents. Parents pressurized, and he was that time young boy at about 23, 24 years age, and so and parents did put pressure because his mother thought that Sri Ramakrishna's days rather too much of spirituality will get tempered down if he is put into a marriage. It is. Let me tell you a real life story of one of our Swamis. It is that when somebody becomes, rather careless, callous, and does not do what one should do, people think, well, if he gets a wife, then by that at least he will remember his duties, he will live more like a sane person. So it is one of our Swamis in his childhood was pretty naughty. I too was, but this is not my story. It is that in childhood was very naughty, he told himself. And then in their extended family, one of his uncles was a strict disciplinarian, and so any unruly child was, he would pay special attention to make him follow, behave and all that. But still this naughty boy was not able to, he was not behaving well. He was very naughty, would bring lot of problems to home. So after doing all these punishments, beating him, confining him in one room, locking up, or some such other things, this uncle got kind of tired, and he said to him, "See, we tried all means at our disposal. Still, there is no sign of improvement in you. If you do not improve your behavior, then we will marry you to a girl, and that girl will straighten you up." So it is. So he said, from that day, I thought of, wife means something very terrible. So it is. So anyway, so why did Sri Ramakrishna marry? He certainly had immersed himself in spiritual practice and had lost all interest in worldly matters. People were calling him insane. And so his mother thought that, well, if he is given in marriage, if he gets a wife, then the taking care of the wife, getting joy from the company of wife will bring him back on the path. This is a traditionally used method. So it was true, therefore, that they put pressure on Sri Ramakrishna, but that was not the reason, as Swami Saradananda explained, that he did not resist any of those that advice of getting married, and there was no precedence that Sri Ramakrishna would succumb to any pressure of anybody. It was against his nature to just do things because of the external pressure, somebody intimidating him, not possible. We saw in his biography there are so many incidents that he stuck to his guns. Even later too, that there had been many pressures, but he did not budge. He did not. Nobody was able to make him do things if he didn't want to do them. So, as such an important thing like marriage, he certainly wouldn't do by succumbing to the pressure of family. That is for sure. Then second reason is given that some would say, why are you concerned so much about it? You know, Sri Ramakrishna right from the early age might not have that feeling of renunciation and the storm of spiritual practice and all that was not in him at that time. He had the desire, like all common people have, to get married and to enjoy the family life. Later on, he got that idea, so that explains it. But those who have seen the life of Sri Ramakrishna earlier, they know that right from the beginning of the early days of his life, there was never any that desire for enjoyment in his life, and so therefore that reason also gets thrown out of window. Then what else? Well, by karma, he was probably forced by his residual karma, that is called prarabdha karma. That residual karma that is about to give result. So even though there is illumination in his life, one has to go through all that karma residuals. Like if you want to stop the car, now you think you need to stop it. But still, even though you take the your foot off the accelerator, gas pedal, still because of the momentum, the car will go forward. Even if you press brake, it will go forward. In some for safe driving, they tell that how far a car will go, even if you press the brake. If you are going by 80 miles an hour, then even if you press the brake, it is not going to stop immediately, and therefore you should keep that distance between the cars accordingly. Not that people pay heed to that, but that is how, what I mean is that the momentum is there. So the past life momentum must have made Sri Ramakrishna to marry in this life, and that explains. Swami Saradananda said there is no past life momentum for incarnations at all, and for those who are knowers of Brahman, even if they are not God incarnations, even for them, that they do not have to go through that or suffer that, because there is no ego left there. So, therefore that reason is also not there. Then there comes the word, when this topic came, what Sri Ramakrishna himself told. Let us see that we just read that part last time, that his Holy Mother, his divine consort, had gone to attend a family related function to Kamarpukur, the birthplace of Sri Ramakrishna. And so Sri Ramakrishna was there, and somebody had brought some food and so forth. And he was eating, Now who is going to prepare all these things for me? That is why marriage, it is to get some food. So that is how it is that some food would be given. So a flimsy, humorous way, that because of that there is this purpose, marriage, is necessary, that it is. But obviously that was just a humor. Then why did Sri Ramakrishna marry? Let us continue the reading from there on. The master, oh, I understand. This is page 465. Oh, I understand. Taking a little curry from a plate and showing it to Balram. For this reason I married. Otherwise, who else would cook for me with such care? Balram and other devotees laughed. Truly speaking, who else would look after my food? They all left today. They means that seeing that the devotees did not understand who had left, along with Ramlal's aunt, that instead of taking wife's name, it is indicated like that. That used to be the custom. The spouses would not utter each other's names in congregation, in public, in front of many elders. So they would usually refer with their child's mother or father, like that. Now Sri Ramakrishna has no child, so his nephew was there. So Ramlal's aunt left, means his wife, it is Ramlal's aunt left. So that is the problem, that you see, some kinds of food do not agree with my stomach, nor am I always conscious enough to eat. See, he is not even conscious enough to eat. Imagine, can that person have any desire for physical enjoyment? Somehow to keep the body alive, the food has to be put in. So that is how the food is put in Sri Ramakrishna. So she, the Holy Mother, knows what kind of food suits me and makes various preparations accordingly. So I asked myself, who will cook for me? Once in Dakshineshwar, when the master raised this topic of his marriage, he said, do you know why one should be married? There are 10 kinds of sacraments for a Brahmin's body. Marriage is one of them. That is, the 10 sacraments, 10 obligatory things in a Brahmin's family customarily are there. One of them is get married. So, only after undergoing those 10 kinds of sacraments can one become a religious teacher. Teachers in the sense of being a priest. So a temple priest who performs all those rituals, that person has to get married. Without getting married, that person does not have the authority to do those things. So therefore they have to get married and thus get the proper scriptural rights to perform those religious rituals like that somebody's wedding is to be performed, then they can officiate that wedding. Or if there is another ritual like they entering the new house and the rituals that go with that. So all those require a married priest. Only learning will not do. The priest has to be, to have that authority, has to be married. So it is for that. What are the reasons behind that? We are not going to discuss here, but that is the rule. That is that one has to get married. So only after undergoing these 10 kinds of sacraments can one become a religious teacher. Again, sometimes he would say, one who aspires to become a Paramhamsa or a knower of Brahman must go through all the experiences of life, from those of scavengers and sweepers to those of kings and emperors. Otherwise, how can a person develop true renunciation? Whatever you have not seen or enjoyed, your mind will hanker after and be restless. Do you understand? Have you not seen how the players move their checkers all over the squares of the checkerboard till they reach home? It is similar to that. So you move on that checkerboard game here, there, ultimately you go to the winning square. So it is like that one has to undergo all these things in life, all experiences. Without that, how will renunciation come? You have to have those experiences, and then you renounce. Without experiences, you won't really get that renunciation. So Sri Ramakrishna said, maybe that is the reason that they are told to get married. So one may get renunciation. Many do get renunciation of that dispassion of that type after marriage, that why did I get into this problem? It is now and then people feel like that, not really a dispassion but frustration that I am not getting all that for which I got married. It is my expectations are just dashed. It is for a few days it is okay, fine, looks nice. That like they say, that then the honeymoon is over and then all other things begin, It is so, and so you develop a dispassion, but that dispassion is not really, it doesn't last too long. Again, after 10 minutes or so, it may last for 10 minutes, maximum an hour, and then again, okay, well, just this is, after all, life is like that, and we have to properly patch up and try to make most of it. So the renunciation doesn't really happen in most cases. So, but if you take the lesson from it, that there is no pleasure in this physical contact. The physical contacts only increases the passion further. It doesn't really bring renunciation per se, nor does it bring satisfaction. So this wisdom doesn't come to us. It is, we keep on thinking that, okay, First, these things did not bring that happiness. But then, if we get a child, then all happiness will be ours. And this goes on and on, really. It is an unending process. We keep on waiting that someday there will be this happiness coming from such tries. But no, it doesn't. Yeah, it brings the same frustrating result. And what else can it bring? It is all illusory, and so it doesn't bring any tangible result. That if it is a nice, say, picture of grapes, say painted by, say, artists like Bernadette sitting there, it may look like, really nice grapes. Can you eat them? You can look at them, you can't eat them. They may look like that grapes, but they are not grapes. So, if you keep on making attempt to eat that, it will end in frustration. So, similarly, in this world, it ends up in getting frustration. Frustration and renunciation are different things. Frustration and dispassion are not same thing. That frustration makes you, have, okay, what can be done? I am bound to keep on doing it again and again. That is how we become slaves. That although we know that there is no pleasure in it, after making thousands of tries to extract some happiness out of it, but still we are not able to get out of it. In fact, we are again and again forced to do it. This is even knowing that there is no pleasure, somehow or other, somebody seems to force you to go on doing it. What a slavery, you can see that. So, this is what commonly happens. But one can take a lesson that, okay, I understood now that there is no happiness in it, and I am not going to get caught in it again. And then tries to escape from that net. Then that experience, that is called experience, otherwise going through that rut again and again, it is not experience. Committing experience means you learn from it, then it gets called experience. Like for a job, they say how many years of experience. I told you that at our one ashrama, we hired a typist. Those days there were these typing cut machines, So we hired a typist. He had come with that he had 10 years of experience. And then after seeing him a few times typing things, we saw that he makes so many mistakes, these things. And then one of our Swami remarked, what about his experience? Experience means for 10 years he had been making the same mistakes, and now that has become a habit. So that is not the experience. Unless you learn from it, it is not experience. That it is, I did this and therefore it is giving such problem. Then you don't do it again. And then that is experience, learning from experience. You see how the little children, they learn to walk, that they fall down. But then, okay, the brain gets the signal that by putting the foot like this, I fell. And they gradually keep on learning from those falls. The babies, while walking, as they fall, every fall teaches them something. And thus that learning goes on. That is called experience. So, Sri Ramakrishna said that unless you get experience, means get that education, you cannot renounce. Otherwise, you will be just again looking for pleasures. Even externally, if you renounce, that will not be true renunciation. So, because your mind will keep on seeking those things. In Bhagavad Gita, it is called that person is a hypocrite, that externally shows that he or she has given up everything, but internally keeps on craving for those things, then that is not renunciation. So, here Sri Ramakrishna says that although the master thus indicated the reason why ordinary teachers of religion marry, we shall now explain our understanding of the special purpose of his marriage. The scriptures teach us at every step that wedlock is not meant for enjoyment only. This is to be understood, that wedlock, actually for physical enjoyment, wedlock is not necessary also. Not necessary, what is the use? It is without getting married, you can have the physical enjoyment like others. The prostitutes, they don't need to get married to get physical intercourse. So marriage is not necessary for physical enjoyments. Then why is the marriage there? It is a very important point taught in all scriptures. In Vedanta, there is a very important thing about why then there is this marriage. The marriage is for controlling that instinct, that okay, you need an outlet, you need a valve, like all those boilers and such things, where the things are under pressure. Now it needs a release valve, so that a limited expression can be given to that. Otherwise it will just explode. And so therefore, to avoid that explosion, there is a wall given. But if you have a big hole there, then no pressure will ever build up. Only all steam will go out, that's all. No purpose of life will get served. So it is only marriage has only this much purpose. It is told in Bhagavatam, for example, that it is these things people will go for naturally. Nobody waits for scriptural injunctions that should I go for physical enjoyment or not. Suppose scriptures tell no, are you going to stop? If the scriptures tell you don't do this, but if there is that tremendous desire to do, these are physical overpowering tendencies that you cannot stop. I tell sometimes that story, that if it is like a person, it is that a student was that had to study, a little boy, and then it was a boring book to study, so would get his head will go down on the desk and he would fall asleep. So his dad decided that, okay, let me see how can I keep you awake. So there was a tuft of hair like that, and so on the head of that child. So he tied a rope to that tuft of hair and then tied it to the ceiling very nicely, so that the boy is sitting like that, and the book, and now let me see how you sleep. Come on. And the father went to do his other works. After about an hour or so, he comes back to see if how far the study has gone. And he saw the head of the boy has fallen down on the desk again, and the tuft of hair is just dangling with the rope. So, it is what the idea is, it is so powerful, those drags are so powerful, that whether scriptures tell you or don't tell you, you are going to do that. Then what scripture tells by this? Get married to control it. Okay, have only this indulgence with one person. That is just a wall as this opening for that. That's about it. That is why this system of marriage is there in this human society. Human beings, they are religious. Every human being at some level you will find some point of religion in that person. So, therefore they want to get married, they want to be religious, they want some religious authority to bless their marriage. So, that is how, because they want that there should be some divine association to it, and not just indulgence like animals. It is let us have some divine element, put in it. So they get married in a way that as the religious injunctions. So, this is in general the purpose of marriage. All these food restrictions or food these injunctions, eat this, that it is told in some different rules, regulations are there, that on a day that you are fasting, you are permissible to this particular variety of food is permissible for your fasting. Now that gets translated differently, that I will be fasting, but then those religious books, scriptures say that I have to eat all these things. No, they don't compel you to eat. But in case if you are going to eat, let it be limited only to this. It is like the otherwise it becomes a feast, instead of fast, it becomes a feast. In my childhood, we used to wait, for those fasting special days, because all those delicacies, special delicacies, would be prepared for that day, and we would be having this impression that we are fasting while we are really feasting. So, it is, Sri Ramakrishna continues that it is, we are constantly reminded that Hindu marriage, and this is with Christianity or any other religion, I see that this is enjoined in that it has its goal following the edict to maintain God's creation and begetting virtuous children, thereby benefiting society. Do the Hindu scriptures then maintain that there should be no self-interest in marriage? No, they say no such absurd thing. By observing the weakness of human nature, the authors of the Hindu scriptures understand that ordinary people care for nothing but themselves and undertake nothing without calculating their own profit and loss. Even though the ancient sages understood this completely, they boldly stated that that this is the goal of marriage. They realized that if people's self-interest were strongly tied to a high ideal, this would be beneficial to them. Otherwise, they would suffer endlessly, entangled in the bondage of repeated birth and death. Forgetting their ever free divine nature, human beings run after external sense objects, considering them to be sweet and delightful. How many people are capable of understanding that every pleasure in this world is eternally connected with pain, and that if one wants to enjoy pleasure, one must also accept pain? Swami Vivekananda used to say, pleasure comes to people wearing a crown of thorns on its head. When people become busy with pleasant things, they have no time to consider that they are wearing a crown of thorns on their heads. Crown of pain. One of our Swami says in our present this consumerism prone world, that this is like this: buy one get other for free. Means you buy pleasure, pain comes for free. It is, you don't buy pain, but it comes for free. So this is how the life is, that we are forced to go for pleasure and the pain comes. So therefore, it is therefore advised, listen, why do you think that attaining pleasure is the goal of life? You cannot have pleasure without accepting pain. Why not strive to reach a higher plane, considering both pleasure and pain to be your teachers? The goal of your life is to be free from both of them forever. So it is clear that the authors of the scriptures mean to teach married people to enjoy through discrimination. Moreover, after experiencing the inevitable pleasure and pains of life and developing dispassion for the apparent momentary pleasures of the world, such people should wholeheartedly love God and move forward earnestly to have His vision, that is God's vision, knowing God to be their all in all. So this is how gradually you can see they are attuned through the married life to go beyond this, and beyond pleasure and pain, beyond the attachments. So that is the purpose of marriage, to take you to renunciation on a gradual course. Means if you cannot climb the high hill just straight like that, then okay, don't worry, you can climb it on a winding path. It is maybe it is slow, it is not steep, so there are less dangers. So you go on a circuitous route, you may reach quickly because you can then go in a car also, So it is, so that is how a householder's life is taught, that there are so many opportunities in householder's life. There is no condemnation of anyone, but one has to go above the attractions and repulsions of the senses. the married life is a graded course for that. So that is how the incarnations try to show in their life. So Sri Ramakrishna has married for that purpose. We will see this further. This topic is still not complete. So next Tuesday we shall try to see that what Sri Ramakrishna's marriage really meant. So it is a very nice topic, and Saradananda Swami, looking at its importance, not only in Sri Ramakrishna's life, in the life of all of us, has elaborately dealt with it. So we shall try to see that on next Tuesday. Any questions about today's discussion? Good, no questions today. Even Charlie doesn't have question. Very good. That means today I explained very well, I think. So, coming Saturday, there is going to be the worship of Mother Durga. The program will be from 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. So many different events will take place during that time, and you are all invited to join. There is also a spiritual retreat coming up on 19th of this month. It is on the second chapter of Bhagavad Gita, and Swami Chetanananda from Vedanta Society of Sacramento, California, will be giving this retreat mainly. So you are all invited to attend that retreat, but for that you have to register beforehand. So please do that, and if you do it before the 12th of this month, you get a $10 discount. So you can have one extra chocolate or something like, because you save $10. So it is anyway. It is. Let us conclude with the closing prayers. May the Divine, who is Father in heaven of the Christians, Holy One of the Jewish faith, Allah of the Muslims, Buddha of the Buddhists, Tao of the Taoists, Great Spirit of the Native Americans, Ahura Mazda of the Zoroastrians, and Brahman of the Hindus, lead us from the unreal to the real, from darkness to light, from death to immortality. May the all-loving being manifest himself unto us and grant us abiding understanding and all-consuming divine love. Peace, peace, peace be unto all.